The Marc Cox Show. Find everything Marc Cox at 971talk.com/Cox.
And my position is I'm going to support the person that President-elect Trump selects. And if he decides, after having several long meetings with Romney, if he decides that Romney will be his Secretary of State and not go off freelancing, then I'm going to take the President-elect's judgment. That, now, if he asks my judgment, it would be don't do it.
And I'll bet that he does ask Newt's judgment on that. I really hope that he does. I don't want Romney, and I don't want Huntsman. Then again, Donald Trump doesn't take my phone calls these days, so I'm not quite sure why. But you know whose phone calls he does take? Allyn Root. Allyn Root, how are you, my friend?
Hey, Mark, how are you? Happy holidays.
Hey, happy holidays to you. Glad to hear.
By the way, now that President-elect Donald Trump is the next president, we don't have to say happy holidays anymore. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. I like it. I like it. So how close are you following these cabinet picks so far? What's your take on it?
Listen, my buddy, a very good friend of mine, we email back and forth. We speak at events together. We have done so many TV and radio interviews together, is Dr. Ben Carson, who was named HUD Secretary this morning. And I think it's wonderful. And I just wrote a commentary, and Fox News took it. It'll be up either later today or first thing tomorrow morning. And it's entitled, Is Nancy Pelosi a Racist? Because can you imagine there's never been anyone, doesn't matter what the color of your skin is, white, black, or otherwise, there's never been anyone more qualified than Ben Carson. I think you could make the argument he's overqualified. He could be president. He's way too qualified to be a HUD secretary. And her response, did you see her press release this morning?
No, I didn't.
Let me get the quote for you. Hold on, because it's part of my article. Come on. There we go. Okay, it took a second for my desktop to work here. Okay, Nancy Pelosi looks at a guy who started out as a black kid in poverty with only a mom in the house in the ghettos of Baltimore, went on to become the world's greatest brain surgeon, multiple times national best-selling author, GOP presidential candidate, now HUD secretary, and her quote was, "He is disconcertedly and disturbingly unqualified for the job." He doesn't have and then she goes on to say again, as if that wasn't strong enough, he just doesn't have the credentials for the job to protect black people and gay people from housing discrimination. My God, here's a guy who lived in public housing and went on to become the greatest brain surgeon in the world. The fact that he's black shouldn't even enter into it, but hey, let's enter into it. Let's say that's pretty amazing stuff. And she looks at that because he's not a black liberal, and she says, oh, my God, he's disturbingly unqualified. What about Ben Carson's resume would make him unqualified, being that he lived in public housing and he's now in charge of public housing? He was black, and he has a chance to change the lives and elevate the lives of black people in public housing all across America. Well, I think the answer is Nancy Pelosi and her friends in the Democratic Party are racist. And they don't want to elevate black people because, A, once you're elevated, you have a tendency to vote Republican. Anyone who makes money has a tendency to vote Republican to protect their own money and their own interests. And B, if someone helps you and they're Republican, you have a tendency to vote Republican. So a generation of black kids might actually not look so terribly upon the Republican Party, and she's scared to death of that. That's more important to Democrats than actually lifting people up and helping them. It's keeping them down so that they will always vote Democrat, and that's sick. That's a sin.
Well, and the sad thing about it is if they're willing to attack Ben Carson like that, of all people, it's just more evidence that they're going to target every Donald Trump pick, no matter their credentials. I mean, we understand they've hit Jeff Sessions and most of the other picks so far. They're gonna be mad about Mad Dog Mattis, and I mean, you mention it, but if you can find reason to criticize Ben Carson as somebody who's going to go in and run the Housing and Urban Development Department, you've just shown your whole hand.
Well, yeah, I wrote a commentary about Donald Trump about 2 weeks ago, and it was, have we just elected our first Jewish president? And I made all kinds of comparisons between the best traits of Donald Trump and the best traits of the Jewish people. And I'm Jewish, by the way, so I'm allowed to do that.
There you go.
And I said, Donald's an incredible family man and loves his kids like a doting father and makes sure they all go to Ivy League schools and brings them into the family business. Sounds like every Jew I've ever known. I'm Jewish, and sounds like my dad and all the fathers were friends of my dad. And, he's incredibly relentless, which the Jewish people are. Slavery, years, decades, and generations of slavery, of murder, of you name the crimes against the Jewish people, and they've never been held down. They've always achieved. I call that relentless. And they also have chutzpah, which is such a Jewish word that it comes from Yiddish. It literally is a word invented by Jews for having audacity. And Donald Trump certainly has the most chutzpah of anyone I've ever seen. Who would have the audacity to think you could be president of the United States? When you've never served as dog catcher at any local level. Well, that's Donald Trump. So I made this comparison and then talked about how much he loves Israel, and he was the Grand Marshal of the Israel Parade in New York City, and he's won the Tree of Life Award from the country of Israel for being the greatest backer of Israel. He's amazing. He is a Jew for a non-Jew. And I wrote this, and it was one of the most popular articles at Fox News this year. Had almost 1 million people read it. And everyone who commented to me personally, all the emails I got that were positive were all from Christians saying, God bless you, what a wonderful thing to write.
Absolutely.
And all the negative ones that literally cursed me out came from liberal Jews saying they hated me for writing it.
How do you feel about Keith Ellison? I mean, the left is about to make another great decision, right, by elevating this guy?
They're self-destructing. They're pouring gasoline on themselves and burning themselves on fire. It's just so scary. But, somehow, some way, I've set my goal. I know I'm crazy. I've got to find a way over the next 4 years to bring the Jewish people at least somewhat to the Republican Party, because this is crazy. The Democratic Party hates Israel. The Democratic Party is pro-Muslim. The Democratic Party wants a Louis Farrakhan ally to be the head of the DNC. The Democratic Party wants to steal your money and take it away from you, make you feel guilty, and make you be a bad person because you make money and you've been good your whole life. You followed the American dream. You played by the rules. You got a great education. You opened a business. Now you're successful. They think you should give it all to other people who never did any of that. How could a Jewish person not love everything I just said? How could you not hate everything Democrats stand for? There's got to be a way to bring them over, and I'm going to try and do that over the next 4 years for President Donald Trump.
Now, you know Mr. Trump and kind of how he operates. He's taken a lot of heat today for having a phone call with the president of Taiwan. How overblown is this concern?
Oh, it's all overblown. Listen, first of all, let's go back to your first question when I got on the radio, which was, what do you think of his cabinet? Every single choice is my kind of person, other than maybe Steve Mnuchin. I'm never quite sure how to pronounce his last name. He's a Goldman Sachs guy, Treasury Secretary. That's probably the only pick I'm lukewarm on, and all the rest I love. But having said that, even that pick, he's very much different than your typical Goldman guy. He wants tax cuts. He's going along with Trump. He wants regulation cuts. He wants to overturn Obamacare. He may turn out to be just fine, too, but I'm not a big fan of Goldman Sachs. That's the only one I have a question mark about. All the rest of them are my kind of people. Ben Carson, what a great choice. Pompeo for CIA, what a great choice. General Flynn, General Mad Dog Mattis. These are people that will strike fear in the hearts of Muslim radicals all over the world who want to kill Americans and kill Westerners. They're all going to be scared of America and Donald Trump. So great cabinet choices, and of course the media would have you believing he's gone back on all his promises and he's not a conservative anymore. Wait a minute, those are some of the most conservative, out-of-the-box choices I've ever seen in a president. Not some of them. They are the most out-of-the-box conservative choices ever. And the same thing with Taiwan. It kind of applies. He just is an out-of-the-box kind of president. He is not going to do things you expect a traditional president to do, to call China and to shun Taiwan. He's always going to be the guy that stirs the drink, like Reggie Jackson. They used to call him the guy that stirred the drink for my New York Yankees as a kid growing up. And everybody criticized him, and everyone had something bad to say about him until he hit 3 home runs in one World Series game and won the World Series in Game 7, and the Yankees were the champions. And then suddenly everyone realized he really was the right guy to lead them to victory. And he went from, a negative, controversial guy to the right guy. And that's what I think about Donald Trump. Same kind of guy as Reggie Jackson with that bigger-than-life New York personality, and always does things out of the box that shock people, but they always, in the end, turn out to be right. That's my thought about Taiwan.
Excellent. Wayne Allyn Root, I tell people, great stocking stuffer, Wayne's book, Angry White Male, talking about the Donald Trump phenomenon, and this was written before the big Trump victory there just a short time ago. And I encourage people to go to Amazon, or you can go to Wayne's webpage at rootforamerica.com, ROOT for America.com. Wayne, have a happy Merry Christmas, my friend.
Thank you, sir. And we've got a new country. I'm telling you, everything's going to be great. The economy's going to turn around. And Mark, all the people who thought someone like me supported Trump because, I don't know, some extreme racist, crazy ideas, none of that's true. All I ever wanted, I'm a small businessman, I just wanted government to get out of the way, get rid of some regulations, kill Obamacare, and get rid of high taxes. And all of that's happening. And look what's happened. The stock market's flying. People's 401ks are going through the roof. Jobs are coming back to America. The guy's not even sworn in yet, and he's saved jobs in Indiana and with Ford and with Carrier. It's amazing. It's going to be a Merry Christmas. Consumers are going to spend again for Christmas. Retail sales are up. We have hope in America. Obama talked about hope. Donald Trump's delivering hope.
Outstanding. Wayne, have a great day.
Merry Christmas.
All right, you too. Thanks. Bye-bye. See, Wayne, he's great because he's not politically correct. He's Jewish, and I'm wishing him a Merry Christmas. He's wishing me a Merry Christmas. Isn't that nice? That's awesome. The thing I brought up about Keith Ellison, I didn't get a chance to really, we didn't get into too much. The Anti-Defamation League has called the guy out. They've called him an anti-Semite because he claims Jews are mobilized by Israel to do its bidding in America. So there's some new audio floating around out there about this Keith Ellison. Democrats would be certifiable to make him head of the DNC. We'll see what happens. 314